So now we are going to solve the question which came in LeetCode bi-weekly 14th of October. This is the second question which has been marked medium, and the question states that we have been given a zero indexed string and zero indexed binary array groups, and we are required to find the selecting the longest subsequence from the array such that the conditions is given as follows. We'll walk through the examples to get a better understanding of the question. The question is very straightforward. We have been given a words array, which is basically a vector of string and a group. So here E corresponds to 0, A corresponds to 0, and B corresponds to 1. So we are having equal sized array of words and groups, and every element, ith element of the words array maps to the ith element of the groups array. So E corresponds to 0, similarly A to 0 and B to 1. So we are required to find the longest subsequence so that we are able to get, basically two conditions are there in the are given in the question. First one is that all the groups selected, the two consecutive groups selected must be non-equal. So this is the only condition, I suppose. Does that. Okay, yeah. So as you can see, if it is 001 and the question is clearly mentioning subsequence, so we are going to follow recursion during the first try that I did also during the contest. And basically what I thought of is, like, for example, if we are at a particular index, so basically I'm going to decide whether to include or exclude this group element from my longest subsequence. So for example, here you can see 0, 0, 1. So either I can select these two indices or I can select these two indices. So either EA, EB is the answer, or AB. These both are valid. Next example, if we consider ABCD, and here the groups are assigned as 1, 0, 1, 1. So basically I can have A, which is corresponding to 1, then B, and then C. I can even have A, B, and D. So these are the valid answers and I can return any one of them. So firstly I'll walk through the recursive code, and then we'll discuss the most optimized code for this question. So in the recursive approach, I'm going to store a temporary vector string, and I'm going to have a global vector string answer which is going to return the final longest subsequence words array. So the recursive code is given. Okay. So first and foremost, the base condition, in which in case I is equals to n and the temporary size is greater than the current answer size, so I'm going to assign the answer. This is the memorization part which you can ignore for now. Then I'm going to have the current. So the current group number, for example, here if I'm standing, the current group number is 1, and for this the current group number is 0. I'm starting from previous, since LIS pattern, as you can observe, so I can have a similar approach in which previous denotes the previous group number which I have used. And when I'm starting my iteration, as you can see here, I'm starting from -1. So previous is -1. So in case previous is not equals to the current element, I'm going to insert the temporary, going to insert the words into the temporary array. I'm going to do the recursive stuff, and while I okay, so one more option is, in case the group number doesn't get equal with the previous group number, I'm going to follow two approaches, two paths from here. whether I'm going to include this and whether I'm going to exclude this. And in case if the previous and current element are to be previous group number and the current group number are to be equal, when we'll come to this else part, so we do not have any option but to just continue with the subsequence pattern. For example, if I am suppose 0 1 1 0, and suppose my ith is at 2, so previous group number is 1 and current group number is 1. In this case both the group numbers are equal, so I am having only this path possible, in which I am going to ignore this and move ahead. Else, for example, previous is initially set to -1, and when it is compared with 0, these are not equal, so I'm going to have two paths in which I'm going to include 0 in the temporary vector, and I'm going to exclude and see and optimize the best answer. And memorization is done to avoid the time limit exceeded error. So this was the approach for recursion. And while discussing the recursive code, if you were able to think of this, then it's fine, but if not, so let's see now. I'm going to have the answer array, right? And as you can see, the more I start early, the better I have the chances to get the longest subsequence. So since the group number is of the binary format 0 and 1, it becomes quite easy, and we can have a single iteration in which I'm going to see whether the last group and the current groups are equal or not. In case that, then I'm going to invert these and I'm going to get the answer. Since the longest subsequence is being asked in this question, this approach order of n is able to suffice, and that's how we are going to have the answer. Thank you.